What makes a person of interest?
All right, so we're here at the lodge. It's a Monday in July, third week in July, and we're doing this interview, right? You're going to be asking me questions.
Yes.
And this all started with me watching an interview with Jerry Glant and Grant Cardone, where they kind of pulled the curtain back, and Jared, because he works with Grant, had the ability to ask Grant questions that other people probably wouldn't ask him. Mm-hmm. Everything from what his net worth was to how much cash he had in his bank account to just these questions that I just thought, man, now that's a great interview, because we coach a lot of people, and I don't consider myself an intimidating person, but a lot of people do not come to me when they want to quit. They don't come to me when they have problems. They go to other people, and I think it's because I put off kind of a no-nonsense vibe to people. I don't want them coming to me because I don't believe in quitting. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in starting and finishing. I lose large amounts of respect for people who don't see things through to their conclusion. And so I thought it'd be cool, because people are always asking, who is Coach Burt? What does he believe in? What's he like to work with?
Yeah.
I thought we could just have some good, honest Q&A and put it out there to the market, man. And
Yep.
in a relaxed setting here at the lodge. Now, it's a Monday, so it's probably my least relaxed day of the week. Most relaxed on Sunday. I fantasize a lot on Sunday, and I would say I probably catastrophize a lot on Monday, which means go to the negative town because of how I see things. I've been studying that a lot, the mental constructs of the brain, and why do people catastrophize? Why do they go to a negative place? Mm-hmm. It's because there's, if you have very vivid visualization, which I do, I can see something. I could see 50 greatness factories right now around the country. Mm-hmm. So it frustrates me when I can't get one of them up and going.
Yeah.
Just cause the minutia of moving lawyers and accountants and all the BS that comes along with trying to get something started, man. It frustrates me. So.
Well, good.
You got the questions.
All right.
It's all you.
Well, and I think you kind of framed that well, because I think a lot of us are intimidated by, like you said, he refers to himself. He's self-proclaimed bald-headed pit bull, right, coming at you. And I think there is a little bit of maybe starstruck that people get, I think, as well, because the way you command a stage, and the way that you present, I think it can be intimidating. So I was there. I was there once. I still am. But I was there once, and so I've been lucky to spend enough time with you, though, to where I've kind of seen a little bit behind the scenes. Yeah. And kind of the man behind the machine. And so that's what I want to try to find today. So let's go ahead and dive on in, and let's go ahead and get those two questions out of the way. What is your net worth?
I think it depends on how you calculate net worth.
Okay. Let's say all assets.
If you put all the assets and the business and what's the business really worth? What's all the real estate I own worth? I don't know. It depends on how you calculate it.
Okay.
I would say between 10 and 20 million.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not going to ask about how much cash is in the bank.
It's still too low.
Yeah.
No matter what it is. But being a basketball coach, guys, I never thought about money it's hard. It's probably hard for people out there watching me to know this.
Yeah.
But from 19 to 31, I literally made $199.50 one year. I made $2,000 the whole time I was an assistant coach for the year. I don't even know how I made it work. And then I made $23,000 my first year as a basketball coach. And then at my peak, I was making $60,000. And I never even thought about money. Mm-hmm. It's the craziest thing. If you would have come to me when I was a high school basketball coach, mm-hmm. and if you would have come to me and said, man, you could be a multimillionaire, I would have looked at you and said, why would I want to do that? I got a 2-bedroom condo. I paid $119,000 for. I'm doing exactly what I love doing, which is coaching basketball. I'm trying to win championships. I got suits I'm buying from Hagar. You guys know Hagar? I used to get suits for $100 at Hagar. But I was one of the only high school coaches even wearing suits, so I was still ahead of everybody. Yeah. And I never even thought about money. And so much of our coaching today is on money, that it would probably shock people to know from 19 to 31 I didn't even think about it. I only started thinking about it because businesses need money.
So we're going to get into this, but do you ever not think about money now?
No.
It's always thinking.
I think about money. This morning I'm reading a book called Beyond Blessed, where it talks about mammon being a demonic spirit in the Bible, of the way Jesus talks about money. So I'm constantly trying to balance the spiritual side of me that looks at money a certain way that could be bad, the love of money, right? Oh, and the business side of me that knows the business needs money.
Yeah.
And the business needs money because I want to expand. And it's expensive to expand.
So really, it's not your commitment to the money, it's the commitment to the cause, and you realize the cause has to be funded.
That's right. Where there's no, Covey always said, where there's no profit, there's no mission. And I get that where there's not enough profit, now you could say to me, well, we could have a bunch of money if you just sell all this, all these things you got, the jet, the houses, the G-Wagons, and that is true. I could go back to a lower standard of living, but the way I look at it is, man, I've been grinding for 30 years. It's nice to have something nice. and here's what's funny. I'm on the jet at one time, and I look at a guy and I go, man, I'm really frugal. I'm a frugal person. And the guy looked at me and said, we're flying on your private jet. Like, how can you say that? If you follow me, I am frugal. I go shopping 1 or 2 times a year. I have the Rolex watch that I have my wife bought for me for 10X. I mean, you're around me a lot. I don't spend a lot of money.
No.
I still use my Marriott points on hotel rooms.
Yes, and it's very intentional spending when it is. It's never just...
I spend money to make money.
Yeah.
I don't waste. I hate waste in a company. I hate waste on, even when we buy 75 workbooks and I can't find them. That's still $1,000. Like, that money didn't come from a tree in the backyard. It came from work. So I think there's some association I have with hard work and money. And I think once you start making some money, you don't want to lose it.
So you've mentioned a lot about, we know your background, you talk a lot about personality types. We know your personality type. So do you really wake up every day mad?
I don't wake up mad. I wake up, my natural inclination is to wake up with anxiety. Okay? Where that comes from, I don't know. I think my mom probably has a lot of anxiety. I think hard driving people, like high D's on a disc, live in the gap between where they are and where they think they can be. Okay? So when I wake up in the morning, there's something about, it's like I'm trying to get somewhere, and it's a dogfight, man. It ain't easy, right? So I wake up with a natural sense of anxiety, and it's probably, what if all this goes away? What if I lose everything? What if the coaching business doesn't make money? What if, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What if, and so I have all these techniques that I use, calming music, calming things, self-talk that I tell myself. I try to stay in creation mode, okay? So catastrophizing is a real concept. It's where your mind goes to a very negative place. And I think that is part of a personality style.
Do you think it has to do a little bit with the coaching nature? Because even in coaching, even in basketball, right? A tie is still kind of a loss.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not the victory.
Yeah.
Right? So do you think a little bit is that?
Yeah.
Does that have to win?
Be in a fight.
Yeah.
Be in a competition. Have a nemesis. I think part of me is like, that's how I grew up. It's like, man, it's a dogfight, man. It's a battle. It's a game to win.
Everything's a win.
And it's like, man, we got to go to war every day. And is there better ways to do it? I'm sure there are. Part of me thinks this is what's helped us get successful. This is what has put us in the top 0.001% of money earners in the coaching profession. And I don't take that lightly.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the hardest businesses you will ever run, is a coaching business. And I tell people who want to be a coach, I get it that you want to be a coach. I mean, you don't know the burden, the sacrifice that it takes to be a top coach in the United States or in the world. It's very hard to run a profitable coaching business. Yeah. So that would be my thought. We're
gonna unpack a little bit of that. So you kind of mentioned your mom, and I wanted to get into that a little bit. So we all know kind of your story of origin, right? As you've shared. How long did it take you to get comfortable sharing the hard aspects of your life publicly?
Probably I was sitting in New York City. I'd hired Steve Carlos and Hank Norman at 2 Market Media. to coach me. They coached Cardone and Steve Harvey and some other people. And, you know, they were coaching me through my message and things like that. And I remember it like it was yesterday because Natalie was there with me. I'm sitting at a table and I look at Hank Norman, who I love, but I think he's crazy. And I said, man, what's going to keep me from being a big-time person? And because I have a dream of becoming known in the world, like as big as Cardone, as big as John Maxwell, as big as Tony Robbins. And he didn't even flinch, man. He said, your inability to be vulnerable is going to keep you from connecting to people. He said this, in the old days, you had to be famous, you had to be in the movies. You had to be an actor. Today's famous is connection to people. You with me?
Yeah.
And he said, people don't connect to you because you're a friggin' machine. They think you go to bed and you don't sleep and you work 24 hours a day and you never have a bad day. And you know, and man, at first I walked out of there so pissed off. And I told my wife, Natalie, I'm like, forget that, man. I ain't telling anybody about my past. And you know, when I talk about my dad, I don't have a bad relationship with my father. And my dad has always been a good guy. He's probably one of the happiest people in the world. I know that I inherited really, really strong traits from my father.
Yeah.
His ability to connect to anybody. He's got a positive perspective. He was a hard worker when he worked. He's retired now. He's probably the happiest retired dude I ever met. I don't have a bad relationship with him. I just don't ever remember in my childhood him being there. I always remember my mom. My mom was at every game. My mom was right there. It was just me and my mom. So it's not I have a bad relationship with my dad. So when I talk about that, it's more to illustrate, you know, somebody may not have been there for you, but maybe they didn't know how to be there for you. Maybe he didn't know how to be a good dad.
Yeah.
So I'm not excusing it, but I'm also not blaming him for anything because actually, you know, it helped. I think it's kind of helped me to have the kind of toughness I have today.
Now, you've mentioned before your mom, you know, when you started to acquire some wealth and started to improve your life, you know, she wasn't real supportive of your, you know, your investments in material things. Now, you know, I've seen her now around, you know, and she's clearly more accepting of that. How does she feel about when you share the vulnerable stories? Did it take her a while to get used to kind of this, like,
I think, you know, she says I remember things differently than she did. You know, she you know, I always had this joke that Mom used to make me eat all this watermelon when I was a kid, and that's why I hate watermelon today.
Yeah.
That we'd sit outside on Saturdays and the whole family would eat watermelon, and man, I just can't stand it today. And Mom doesn't remember it like that. She don't remember us doing that. And you know, she don't remember us, you know, I think we didn't have a lot of money because I looked at the houses we lived in. You know, whether that's poor or not poor, that part doesn't matter to me. I think when I started to make money and I'm making big purchases, whether it be multi-million-dollar homes, a jet, these things are uncommon from the little town I grew up in.
Yeah.
That was bragging. You know what I'm saying? You don't show off. You don't flaunt anything.
Okay.
Like you don't need, why do you need this, right? What if it all goes away tomorrow?
Yeah.
So my mom is very much a realist. Like, you know, why do you need a house this big, right? And over the years, though, as I've exposed her to these things, it's like, hey, Mom, it's okay. These things make us happy, right? This lodge makes me happy. Flying on the jet makes me happy.
Yeah.
Driving a G-Wagon makes me happy. You know, I don't know how to explain it, but when you work as hard as I do, and you give almost all of my life is devoted to other people, it's like, man, sometimes I'm going to have something nice. I'm going to have a nice home. I'm going to live I'm going to drive a nice car, and you know what? But over time, Mom has, you know, she sees it.
Yeah.
She likes babysitting the house in Florida now.
Yeah.
So and so I'm like, go down there and spend as much time as you want, Mom. You deserve it, because that woman's worked hard her whole life. She's 60-something years old, and she's been working since she was a kid. So she instilled in me, we don't whine, we don't complain, we don't make excuses. We always show up. I mean, that's where that work ethic came from.
And I know you touched on this briefly just a minute ago about your dad and maybe this perceived invisibleness, you know, of him not being in your life. And again, you know, no judgments as to what the situation was, but and I've heard you credit that may be some of the driving force behind wanting to be known.
Yeah.
How much of a force do you think it is? Do you think that there will ever be a victory in your mind of saying, I'm now known enough?
Yeah. You know, I don't know, and I don't know if that's what it is. I mean, I've talked to psychologists about this, and some of them say that's way too Freudian. Like you know,
too common.
it's you know. But then some people said that's exactly why. Why did I write person of interest? Why do I want to be known in the world?
Yeah.
Is there a correlation between not really having that strong relationship with my dad early, and me having this desire to be known by everybody?
Yeah.
To go back to my dad and say, see, the world knows me.
Yeah.
I'm your son. You're my dad. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now, this is all just made up in the mind, by the way, because I don't know. I don't know where I first started having a desire to be somebody in the world. And my mom always said she talked to me like I was an adult. I always acted like a little adult. My early coaches always said I was going to be a coach. You know, there were some people that said, man, this dude's going to go do something when he grows up. You know? Although I was voted Prince of Personality in high school.
Yeah.
I wasn't voted most likely to be successful. I wasn't voted smartest. I wasn't voted prom king. I wasn't voted, I mean, I was voted like this dude's got a great personality.
Yeah.
And, you know, I look back on that and I go, I mean, is that it? Surely I had some more substance than that. But that's my dad.
Yeah.
My dad's got an incredible personality. And my personality, I mean, you've traveled with me. You know, I feel like I have built the muscle to connect to people around the world.
Yeah.
And they feel comfortable with me. And I can, and I think that's part of, I think a lot of it's natural with the help of the coaches I've had to get better at it.
So we've talked a little bit, and that kind of, thank you for sharing that, and gets the story of origin kind of cleaned up a little bit. Now, and before we get into it, I want to talk about kind of like the team, the coaching, leadership, some personal life, but I also want to ask, you know, since the business is based around your personal brand, like you are the business, right? Nike is shoes, right? Hilton is hotels. You are the brand. How personal is it when you feel your brand is attacked?
Man, I take everything personal. I mean, I don't know if that's just the way Mama raised me. I take it incredibly personal. And let me tell you why. This is how I feel as a coach. I feel like most of my life has been about sacrificing for other people to help them reach their potential. I spend time away from my kids. I spend time away from my wife. Like, you know, my wife has said a number of times, man, you give those people everything. And so when they, you know, are negative toward me, or they say it don't work, or you've seen some of the ridiculous conversations I've been involved in, I take it very personal, because I do think 100% that I am one of the top coaches in the world, based on my pedigree, 30 years, demonstrated capacity, successes with other people. So when somebody comes along and takes shots at me or sends me nasty text messages, which they did last week, or just says, man, your coaching don't work. You know, we've had people in the exact same coaching program who get two totally different results with the exact same coaching.
Yeah.
Except the problem becomes when they make it personal. When they attack me.
Yeah.
And say whatever. I'm a narcissist. You know, they always play the Christian card. You know, I thought you were a Christian man, which is like low blows to me. You know, because I don't understand why they go there.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't get the result they want, then they start taking shots at me. And you know, I think that's part of being a public figure. But sometimes it's just over the top, man. And it goes back to one belief, though. I believe that when something is not working, I've gone through major conflict in my life with business partners. A lot of it I can't talk about because of settlements. But I studied conflict during that cycle because I felt like I didn't really know how to handle conflict. And if you're going to run a coaching business, there's going to be conflict.
100%.
So I'm like, I need to get better at handling conflict, okay? Because my personality style is when you come at me, I'm going to come right back at you. And I'm not a person to push into a corner because I'm going to come out swinging. That's who I am, right? And that's more of a protection thing. But when I went back and studied conflict, I really had this big revelation that when there's conflict, there's typically both parties are involved in that conflict. And what you really should do is, what did I do to contribute to this conflict? What can we do to work through this conflict? And Covey always taught third alternative thinking. It's not my way or your way. Let's find a better way.
Gotcha.
And how you handle conflict opens the door to future potential or closes the door future potential, right?
Yeah.
So when there's conflict, I always say, if I was in a coaching program, I wouldn't call up Dan Sullivan or Cardone or anybody I bought programs from, Dave Blanchard, and say, man, you suck. Your coaching don't work. I would never do that. I would say, you know what? It's not going quite the way I thought it was going to go. Maybe I misunderstood something. What can I do to rectify this? Are there things right? And there's almost always, they would say, well, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this.
Yeah.
You didn't
they
show
line
up.
them up. They
You
line
didn't
up
do this.
excuses, don't
Okay.
they?
So that's how I handle conflict. If I
Yeah.
go to get a steak tonight at a steakhouse, and it's considered the best steakhouse, and it's just not any good, I don't pitch a fit, I don't yell at people, I don't cuss people out. I say, you know what, I came here because they told me it's one of the best steaks. For some reason, it's not quite cooked. Maybe it's overcooked. Could you check on this? Maybe there's something I don't know.
Yeah.
Can we work to get a win here? That's how I try to go into situations, but that's not how a lot of people go into it.
So you mentioned the sensitivity to being personally attacked when they attack coaching.
Yep.
Is that the worst part of coaching people?
It's one of the worst parts of coaching people. I mean, one of the worst parts of coaching people is people to believe that because you're a public figure or you're a coach, that they could just say whatever they want to you.
Yeah.
There's no consequence. They always say, well, they make threats. That's one of the big things they do. They threaten to tell people and be negative about me. They threaten my brand. They threaten to give me bad reviews. And they always say, well, isn't it important how I feel about you? And I want to say, is it important how I feel about you? Mm-hmm. Does it matter how I feel about you?
Yeah.
Because they don't think about those things. So I think that's the first thing in the coaching business that's tough. I think the second thing is just pouring your heart and soul into people and them just moving on to somebody else or forgetting or quitting one day. It's like, you changed my life, but now I'm over you. Now I'm on to somebody else. And Cardone told me this. He said that it all goes to zero at midnight. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was in Miami. I was so excited. I told him our coaching program was up to 700 or 800 people. And he just went, shh. I said, man, what you have is a very expensive babysitting service. And he said, man, he goes, you'll figure this out sooner or later. He said, it all goes to zero at midnight. And I didn't really understand what he was saying. And then I went back that night, man. I was almost devastated. I called Tim Grover like 3 in the morning. And I was like, it all goes to zero at midnight. What am I doing? I'm like, why have I coached people for 30 years and give up almost everything in life if it all goes to zero at midnight? Like, it really hit me. And Grover's such a good dude. And he's like, are you okay? Do I need to come to Miami? Like, are you going to be all right? Like, he's such a caring guy, but man, I had a rough night that night.
Yeah.
Just wondering if what I had doing was all wrong. If I had spent 30 years pouring into other people and they didn't care. Now, here's what Grover told me. He said, man, the good that you've done, the people you've helped, the lives you've impacted, that don't go to zero at midnight. He's like, that will live on way beyond your lifetime. And I thought that was very helpful. So Tim, thank you for that.
That's a good segue then. Is that the best part of coaching?
Yeah.
Is watching people or knowing you're contributing to the transformation of people, or what is the best part?
I think, yes, it is the feedback loop from the person that says, man, this coaching really, I think about a guy like Daniel Hodges. He came into our coaching program. He was resistant. He thought I was going to tell him how to live life and tell him what to do. And then 8 years later, he's about to sell his business. He's like, man, it changed my life. And he tells other people the coaching changed my life. Like it changed my kid's life. Like, to me, that's, Dave Blanchard used a term called internal profit. And there's a lot of internal profit in the coaching business. the feedback I get, the hugs, the people who come to me and say, man, your coaching really changed my life. And to be honest with you, the coaching business has afforded me and my family a life that I would have never imagined. It's just afforded me a better life, man. My kids a better life.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a great profession. I think it's hard. I think there's I think it's harder than people think. Mm-hmm. But I do think it can be incredibly rewarding and incredibly profitable.
Nice. Now, we've talked a lot about Coach. I mean, I know you're Coach Burt, right? So, of course, we've talked about coaching. You ever been a part of the team?
A part of what team?
Any team. Any team. Have you ever taken a supplicated role in a team environment to where you're not Coach Burt?
And I like to remind you guys of this. Anytime anybody on our team gets a good lecture, it's because from 19 to 21, I was an assistant coach. And I was the lowest assistant coach. There was 3 assistants ahead of me, and then the head coach. And so I was a part of the team. I wasn't the main person. I was supplicated to another person's vision. And, he may tell you different. His name was Keith Short, and I love that man. But I felt like I was there to serve his vision. See, I come from a sports world, and in the sports world, there's a pecking order.
Yeah.
There's a head coach. There's an associate head coach, right? It's like the number 2 to the head coach. And then there's like assistant number 2, number 3, number 4. There's like a director of operations, and there's a little pecking order. Well, so for 3 years, I was an assistant coach. And I remember, man, coming in early, mopping the floors, cleaning the locker room. It was his vision. And I didn't agree with everything he did. A lot of times I didn't agree with him. Mm-hmm. I didn't think he was disciplined enough. I thought we were undercapitalizing our talent, right? And I remember telling him one night, he would sit there during the game, and I would sit right here and take notes. He would bark things. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. And I would go, yes, sir. And I would just tell him what he needed. Kind of like you try to tell me sometimes what to do.
Yeah.
You need to do this. 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 And man, I've never seen that dude get mad. And he looked over at me one night during a game, and he said, look, at some point, I'm going to retire, and you're going to move from your seat to my seat. Yeah. And when you sit in this seat and your name's in the paper and it's on you, then you can do whatever the hell you want to. I mean, I'd never seen the dude get mad at me. And he's like, you don't understand. See, I used to say, we need to get rid of that player. Here's some things I would say. Hey, she's trouble. Get rid of her. She'd be scoring 25 a night. You know what I'm saying? He was like, right? And that's what he was really saying. Now, when I became head coach, I'm like, we need to rehabilitate her. You know what I'm saying?
I need them 25 points.
Like I need the 25 points more than I need to get rid of her.
Yeah.
Well, it's easy when you're in an assistant role to say, you should do this with your business. You should do this. You should cut out. Now, when I was working on my doctorate, which was miserable, I hated it. 3 or 4 years of just pure hell. I think I had a course in unintended consequences. And an unintended consequence is I make a decision to do something. Start an insurance business, do this, get us involved in a CRM company, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever I decide to do. And there's some unintended consequence that you didn't anticipate. And I think that's what I think about a lot more now. Like, it's why I don't get into business partnerships so easily.
Yeah.
It's why I don't make certain moves. It's like we're having this talk right now about what to do with the people who pay $83 a month, right? And it's like, we'll force them to pay $4.99 a month because the coaching has gone up. Well, what is the unintended consequence of that? What if these people revolt? What if they go from loving Coach Burt to hating Coach Burt? I'm a Covey disciple, so it's like, what's a win for these people? Maybe they don't get 4 sessions a month. Maybe they get 1. Maybe I'm always trying to seek to get a win for people, and that's both a blessing and a curse. Because my wife would say, you give people so many chances many times. Sometimes they continually let you down, but you just keep giving them another chance. Yeah. She's like, if they were anywhere else, man, they'd have been fired a long time ago. And the truth is, I don't want to deal with the conflict. I don't want to deal with the conflict of hiring people and firing people it's like a low value of my time. So it's like, man, instead of spending all the time in drama here, I'd rather just go do something. Let me just pick up the phone and sell something. Let me call somebody. And then I'll move people around. It's like, well, he's not any good here, she's not any good here, then I'll go here, then I'll go here, then I'll go here. And I feel like I give people a lot of chances. But not everybody feels that way.
Well, so, and I do want to ask another question, but I want you to keep that in mind here because we'll segue that into your opinion of yourself as a leader, right? But I want to stay on the coaching for a minute. Is there anything that what are you receiving coaching in right now?
I'm receiving coaching right now from a guy named Dave Blanchard on connection. I would say agape love, fantasizing and catastrophizing. I mean, I think I'm receiving coaching on that. Primarily, that one thing.
Were these elements you thought you needed, or did you just enter into coaching?
I didn't know what I needed.
Okay.
I just knew that one of my good friends, Doug Wood, said, I think Dave Blanchard would be good for you. And I said, okay. And we signed up for Dave Blanchard. And I didn't know what I was going to be getting.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the first couple sessions, I'm like, what in the world? Agape love. And you got to understand, I'm rugged. I'm rough.
Yeah.
Polished, but rough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, suck it up, buttercup. Man, let's go. Let's quit whining, let's quit complaining, quit making excuses. Then I get into this thing with Dave Blanchard, and it's, agape love, connection, intrinsic validation, and I'm like, oh my God. First two sessions, I told my wife, I'm like, I can't believe we're paying for this. And then in session 3, it hit me. It's like, this is how you go to the next level. It all comes back to what Hank Norman told me years ago, connection.
Yeah.
True caring for other people. Dave thinks I focus too much on money and that I should be focused more on connection. And if I focus more on connection, we'd make more money. You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
But there's a realist inside of me that says, okay, I need to convert the connection to monetization.
Yeah.
To make the thing go. And so, he constantly is trying to get me out of this fantasizing to catastrophizing because he thinks I'm chasing a number. I'm not really chasing a number. I feel like I'm chasing potential. Like I see these guys like Micheal and Cardone, and I'm like, man, I could be those dudes. Like what is keeping me from being that big? And it could be, well, you haven't been in the game long enough, or you ain't go out. I always ask Steve Carlos, I'm like, man, I need to be famous. And he's like, you're doing it, for the love of God. It's like, you're doing it. And I'm like, well, it ain't happening fast enough.
Yeah.
It's happening, it seems like it's happening one person at a time, which seems real slow.
So do you think, and this is a perfect question for where I think your frame of mind is right now. So, you've been a coach since you were young, right? So you kind of matured quickly.
Yep.
I would imagine, right? As you coached people through. You're also, some of the recommendations and references you make show your age, right? And in this new world where coaching is about the transformation, right? And the transformation and the connection. Do you think it interferes? Do you think your insatiable appetite for revenue, limits your ability to service new, people that are entering in with this idea that coaching is about transformation rather than, and that they wanted to be guided more? You're a suck it up, buttercup kind of guy. Do you feel like you'll adapt to that?
I don't know. I think a lot of people would tell you I've gotten softer through the coaching of Blanchard. I'm connecting to people at a higher level. Will I ever lose some of that toughness? Probably not. I think people need to toughen up. I think people need to get tougher. I think they do need to suck it up. I do think they need to act their way into feeling versus feel their way into acting.
Yeah.
I think it's out there. If they just want to go get it, they got to go get it. But they spend a lot of time in the mechanics of it, right? We have people come here and spend 2 days with me, and it's like, well, what do I do? I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, you just spent 2 days learning what to do. Now, let's go back to a Dan Sullivan. Who can help you? Who can help you do funnels? Who can help you create a Zoom? Who can help you learn how to market? Who can help you go out and get on stages? Then it gets into, okay, I hear people say that a lot, like you're very repetitive. And I'm like, yeah, coaches are repetitive, man. This ain't, you need to hear something over and over and over. You don't come to a boot camp and go, okay, I've got it all figured out. You go to a boot camp and you synthesize and you break it down, you internalize it. And then you go try to do it. And you're going to screw up.
Yeah.
But you don't go back and go, well, I just don't know how to do it. Coach can do it because that's what he's been doing. I don't know how to do it. Like if I wanted to create a TV show, let's just say, I did this before, had no idea what I was doing. Trying to get attention for a book called Zebras and Cheetahs. So we did a reality TV show. We had no idea what we were doing. We didn't have a producer. We literally just put people in a room, coach them for 2 days. And I thought it was pretty good, but it didn't stop us from doing it because we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
Who can help us? Who can film? Who can shoot something? Okay, let's go get them. Who can come up with a concept? Mm-hmm. Who can give me 5 people who want to be on a TV show? It's like I think people get caught up in the mechanics of something. I do not get caught up in the mechanics of it.
Do you ever find yourself with that mindset, right, where you're like, okay, I'm feeling it, I'm going to take an action? Do you ever find yourself in the kind of the situation where maybe what you're doing now, because you go down a path and you start a path and you're going down those things, do you ever find that there's conflict in you're like, hey, I'm starting to do stuff that's contrary to my personal beliefs? And do you ever find yourself in that situation when you're just creating action, do you ever find yourself away from your origin?
I think when you see people who are willing to say things, Vaynerchuk, he's got no problem cussing, using the F word, Cardone, and they're famous, then it's easy for you to say, well, I just need to cuss more, man. I just need to show people who I really am if I cuss a lot. Although I cuss some, but I don't cuss a lot. But if people saw me cuss more, would it help? Would they think I was more real? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we went to an event the other day in St. Louis, and they said, man, they cuss. The dude dropped 12 F-bombs in a few minutes. I didn't cuss the whole time I gave the presentation. I didn't cuss when I spoke at 10X. And that attracted large numbers of people to me. So I think when I'm getting down the path away from who I am, then it's like we need to rein it back in. I won't sell out just to be famous.
Okay.
I won't say, well, I'm going to go out there and try to get a lot of attention. People told me when I first started doing this, do something crazy. Like one guy came in and told me I needed to go to a board meeting and just throw stuff and cuss everybody out, and it would go viral. Like if people saw me act like that, it would go viral, and that would help me get more views and become more famous. Well, I think I'm going to take a T.D. Jakes approach here. He said, I never set out to be famous, I set out to be effective. And the more effective I became, the more famous I became.
Gotcha.
I want to be real effective. I want people to say that's the best coach in America. All these other guys are great at what they do, but there's nobody who's a better coach than that dude.
Gotcha. And before we get into the leadership, one last question about the coaching. Why do you think people leave your coaching?
Leave the coaching? I think there's 2 reasons. I think one of it is a personality style. I think some people are attracted to my style and stay with me for long cycles of time. Tommy Davidson, Daniel Hott. People have been with me for Carrie Ann Sear. These are people who are getting massive results, who I have been one of their main coaches for 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
They believe in mastery, right? Like Tommy Davidson would tell you, the reason I need to invest $25,000 a year is to be around Coach, because it takes a while to get this. And he's helped me become a better coach. Like Tommy would tell you, his success is because he got in the program, practiced what we taught, did the work, but he's actually become a great coach.
Yeah.
And he learned that from me, right? I think people that come and go, I think it could be because they don't understand the repetition piece. They want something new. They want cotton candy. They think I should teach something new every week, when I believe in going deep. I believe in mastery. I don't believe in cotton candy. I think running a coaching business without proper structures in place, where people are, there's been this big argument if we had one-to-one coaches, and if Jack comes into our program, somebody's babysitting him, and talking to him every week, and does that help? No, because the same person that wants to quit 3 months will complain about Jack.
Yeah.
They'll say, well, here's what I hear. I'm in this one-to-one program, started great, And they call me every week, and now they kind of become a friend, and now I don't feel like they're coaching me. Like the people who quit always find some, can I cuss here? Bullshit reason to quit.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't like Coach Burt did this, or I love this. I don't show up for one session. I coach like 1,700 sessions, and then one day I'm overbooked.
Yeah.
And they're like, you don't even show up for your coaching programs.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I missed one time.
Yeah, these are the people that are going to find the excuse.
I mean, these are
what.
people who are still doing the same thing they were doing before they came into me.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm another person that they let down. But they're not letting me down, man. They're letting themselves down.
Gotcha. So we talked a little bit earlier about leadership. So is there a difference between a coach and a leader?
Yes. I mean, I think so.
How would you define it?
You know, it's crazy. I think when I was a high school coach, people would consider me a great leader. I was good at organizing. I was good at mobilizing. I was good at coaching. But those are kids, and those kids supplicate. They follow the directions better than adults do.
Yeah.
Okay, I think there's differences between being a great coach. It's like Chris O'Donnell told me one day. He's like, man, I love being coached by you, but I hate working for you. He's like, you're an incredible coach, you're a terrible boss. And the reason I'm a terrible boss is because I don't want to be a good boss.
Yeah.
My heart's not in being a good boss. I don't want to manage people. I don't want to motivate people every day. I'm looking for, I think like a Navy SEAL, like Top Gun.
Uh-huh.
I think if you want to work with me, you should come at a very high level every day. Mm-hmm. You should be working on Sunday, getting ready for your week. Not me forcing you to. So I think I get in that and resent like the management. And so, you know, I think I'm a great coach. The truth is we probably need a CEO running the company or a director of operations or somebody managing the team. It definitely does not need to be me.
Yeah.
Because I know I create anxiety for people because I'm a creative. And I'm creating and creating and creating and creating. And I don't want to have hard conversations with people. I don't want to go, man, I just can't do that. I know you want me to do it, but I can't do it. I don't even want the conflict. And I think that's what leaders have to do. Mm-hmm. So I want to be an artist.
Yeah.
I want to create. I want to coach. I don't want to necessarily lead. I want to coach people. I want to develop talent. I want to go out and sing my songs. I want to create great songs and sing great songs. I do not want the day-to-day responsibility of running a company.
Do you think, clearly, do you think you have a good work ethic?
I think I have an impeccable work ethic.
Okay, so do you think that that's where your frustration falls with people that don't have a strong work ethic?
Yes.
So is that what prevents you from taking some of these actions and saying, why should I have to?
Well, my idea of work ethic and others is probably different, though.
Uh-huh.
It's not uncommon for me to work 6, 7, 8 hours on Sunday.
Yeah.
But in a flow of life.
Yeah.
I don't sit down and work for 8 hours. I get up and I listen to something. And then I go to church. And then I spend time with my family. And then I go on a bike ride and listen to an audio book. And then my kid goes to sleep and I write a chapter of a book. Like some people may look at that and go, that's uncommon. Like most people on Sunday goof off.
Yeah.
You work 8 hours on Sunday. But I can't. I have so much to get in. To get in a week, I can't show up on Monday and go, now I'm going to work.
Yeah.
I just don't have a luxury like that. So it's just become a way of life for me to work like that.
Do you think anyone that falls underneath that makes it hard for you to recognize value they add?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I have such high standards of people. Mm-hmm. It's like when they let me down one time, I'm like, man, come on.
One and done with Coach Burt.
I'm like, come on, man, don't let me down. Don't disappoint me.
Now, I know you've mentioned your faith quite a bit, and you always do, right? Now, I will say this, I never feel like it's imposing, though. You never impose your faith. And you mentioned your family, so I admire that about your thing. So you embrace, I know a lot of times you talk activation and prey drive, and a lot of times you embrace this scarcity mindset. Do you think that, with your going to zero at midnight and the scarcity mindset, right, does that hinder your recognition of those other elements in your life that don't go to zero at midnight? Meaning, like, are you able to carry respect, love, and things from day to day as well?
My wife is here. My wife and I are very different here. My wife believes it's all going to work out, right? God's going to take care of us. I believe God gave us the trees, but we have to make the desk. Okay, and I think, you know, I think it's hard for me to, you know, when I'm thinking about Jesus, or when I'm thinking about respect and love and all the things that you read in the Bible, and I'm listening to the sermons in the morning, and then there's still this real rugged part of me. It's like, man, we're gonna go broke if we just walk around, respect and love everybody. But I do use it, and I do go, okay, you know what? How do I turn the other cheek versus this person? How do I love people that are enemies and are rude to me? How do I try to be respectful of everybody, right? I know working with me is difficult. I know it's an all-consuming, never-ending.
It is.
I mean, I get it. But I also think about what's it like if you played with Michael Jordan?
Oh, yeah.
What's it like if you played with Tom Brady? What's it like if you worked for Steve Jobs? What's it like if you work for, you know, if you Elon Musk? Like, what's it like working with these people?
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos. I mean, there's all these documentation about how difficult Bezos was.
Yeah.
Especially in the early days of Amazon. Like, they work 18, 20 hours a day. No food, no nothing, right? They're on their knees making stuff to get. He wouldn't even buy a table for them to put stuff on. I mean, like, I think about, to me, work is a way of life. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It keeps us out of trouble. It is a distribution channel for talent. So to me, I don't look at it like, man, I'm working. Like when I'm banging on you on Saturday night or Sunday, or, you know, because I'm, you know, some days I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody. And I'll just tell you when you send me a message, I'm like, man, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to anybody anymore. I'm not making a decision on this. But then there's days like yesterday, I don't know. I don't know if I had a good night's sleep, but then I just was like in this freakishly creative place yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to things, and I'm like, we need to be doing this. 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 And it's just like free flow. I remember hiring an assistant once, and she quit pretty quickly because she said, man, I got 38 messages from you on Sunday night. And she's like, I was so overwhelmed. I'm sitting there crying to my husband. And she's like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. And I'm like, it's okay.
But you're saying that, and if I'm hearing it right, you're saying that's not because you're trying to burden them. You're just in a state where it's flowing.
It ain't personal.
You know, and I think I've heard somebody, and I wish I could quote them exactly, but it was the idea of Mother Teresa, right, of her work. If she got compensated like a bank president did, would we have any problem with her receiving the money?
That's right.
Or would we, if she always thought to help people, even on a Sunday or Sunday night, would we judge her, you know, in that? So I think that's where I see a lot of times, because I get the 38 texts too, and the one sometimes includes, I don't have the brain power. We'll talk tomorrow. He's back at it again. Look at, right in the middle of an interview. Right?
Just trying to collect some money here.
There you go.
Know? Where there's no profit, there's no
mission, right?
No mission.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just checking on everything, make sure everything's working like it should be.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, and I'll add a story to that. I loved, and I wish I knew who said this. You know, you're clearly better at that, of taking data from someone and making sure you know who has it. But the idea is that concept of, if I could go feed the hungry, right? If I could feed the hungry with my hands and I could feed 10 people, right? Or what if I can use my skills to create to create an income and a revenue and go help people, and I can help 10,000 people?
Yeah.
What's the better cause? You know, to do it by your hands or.
Well, I mean, I think let's go back.
Or your resources.
Are we filming or not filming?
Yeah, we're being.
Okay, so God put Adam and Eve in the garden, right? And it was perfect. That's what it says.
Yeah.
It's out there, and he said, tend to it. Be fruitful, multiply.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Tend to it means work it.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't just sit around and enjoy
work
it.
It didn't say sit around, lay around and be lazy. He said tend to it, man, and work it. And I think, you know, that's the part that we're missing, is that I think the way we're taught in our society is you work through the week, you take off on the weekends, and then you just bitch about how much money you make. And this is the greatest country in the world. It's out there. It's unlimited. Just go solve a problem for somebody, right? Initiate. That's really prey drive. I mean, prey drive is instinct to pursue. It's instinct to create. It's instinct to, like that's the problem I have with people who don't want to work. Now, is it always convenient when when I chose to be an entrepreneur and you choose to work for an entrepreneur, then there is no more 9 to 5. You only get paid when you produce something. It could happen on Saturday night, like we're working with Kent and the farmers up there in Michigan. When it's time to harvest,
you have to harvest.
when it's kind of time to work the land, it's like, hey man, it's not like, well, no, we're just going to be lazy now.
Yeah. This
is the time to go. This is the time to build. This is the time to create. And I think that's, a lot of people go, it's inconvenient. Most success is incredibly inconvenient.
Yeah. You had mentioned to me the other day too, we were talking security versus opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big part of what people lack, is that the pursuit of opportunity and a little bit of the surrender of security. So now we were talking a little bit, do you ever feel disconnected from yourself? Like I know it's deep-seated belief in you, right? And what I mean by that is, is there a second dream of Coach Burt?
Meaning what?
Outside of this.
Outside of doing this?
Outside of doing this.
My whole life, I can't imagine not being a coach. Like what would I do if I didn't do this? I mean, I'd love to be a country music singer, but I can't sing. I don't know, because I have these dreams of having retreat sites. Or, we were up in Michigan at this place called The Shack, and I saw all this undercapitalized opportunity. I mean, I'm like, what if I just had retreat sites around the world, and they were cash flowing, and I was coming in and doing my thing from time to time, or but I don't know what I would do. I think I want to raise capital. I think I want to be involved in bigger real estate plays.
Yeah.
See where I'm going?
Yeah.
I think I'm an entrepreneur that has a very special skill set in deconstruction of ideas, codifying, synthesizing, and then packaging of ideas, and then delivering those ideas for monetization. That's my skill set. Now the question is, how many different ways can I do it?
Yeah.
Can I do it in an insurance company? Can I do it in this company? Can I do it in this company? And I'm just really good at getting people excited about their future, right? So how do I have 10 lodges? I think I'm most interested in raising capital, purchasing real estate around the country, adding our activation points to it. But I'm ultra excited about greatness factories.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're going to work or not, but if I can ever get this one closed and built, this little city of things. So I'm excited about creating, and then maybe letting other people do the work other than me, because the coaching is so dependent on me.
And not to go back to our Freudian reference earlier, but do you think it's your desire for these incredible environments, right? Is it because you felt maybe a lack of a supportive environment as a kid?
Maybe. I mean, I don't think I ever lacked support, especially from my mom. I think growing up, my mom had some real rough relationships. And I don't know with men, that they were just mean or rough or, abusive or, and I think that's had to have some kind of impact on me.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe on my commitment issues, maybe on why it took me so long to get married. I don't know. But I think, I think for the most part, I always had what I needed to go be successful.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So you've mentioned your wife a lot. We know her story of origin. We know a lot about her.
Yep.
What do you want most for her?
Probably for her to reach her potential. I see a lot of potential in Natalie. I saw that from the beginning of our relationship. It's really how our relationship started. She came to one of my workshops. Yeah. And, I want to, my natural tendency is to push her. But that's not always what she wants. She wants to be a mom to 3 kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She I don't understand all the things she does to make this go. She basically says, you go be Coach Burt, right? Whatever that means. Fly around the world on a private jet. Be gone. Now she'll rein me back in, and she'll say, man, you need to be home more. She'll say, hey, you need to tell them no. You're right.
Yeah.
You need to understand this is our privacy. But for the most part, she's like, go be you, right? Now, what I want from her is sometimes I want her to be expansive in her business, which is health coaching. I want her to go at a pace I want to go at, and she's like, that's not me. I don't go at the pace you go at. She's very disciplined. She always gets it done, right? But she doesn't quite go at the pace I go at, and that frustrates me. And the pace I go at frustrates her.
Yeah.
She's like, you don't think about the consequences. You don't think about what could happen. You know, it's like we're having something at the lodge. Well, who's going to feed all those people? And I'm like, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll go get them Subway or whatever. That's how I think. And she's like, you didn't think through any of this. Like, it drives her crazy when we don't give her data about who's coming to the lodge, how many people, because she's cooking, she's ordered. She's like, this doesn't magically happen.
Yeah.
There's food that's ordered a week in advance. There's somebody who's got to handle it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So she is a totally different personality style than mine.
Yeah.
But she's rock solid, and she's tough, and it takes a tough woman to be married to me.
Yeah.
I mean, her toughness is what I love about her, because she will get up every day and make sure our kids have everything they need to be successful.
And I know you guys work a lot on this, right? And with the couples retreats, and you're intentional about this, right? Do you ever feel like you're a bad husband sometimes?
Sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a bad father at times. I feel like I'm a bad husband at times. I feel like my ambition is so strong. And where that came in me, I don't know. But I got a lot of ambition.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to sacrifice a lot to go get that ambition.
Gotcha.
And the balance for me is, how much time do I need to spend with my kids that's fruitful for them? I don't want to be 30 or 40 years down the road and my daughter don't want to talk to me.
Yeah.
Or my kids don't want to play with me, or I really don't want that. And I'm constantly trying to balance, how do we go do this and keep this thing together, right? And to where there's real meaningful. I think I'm a much better dad to Eli than I was to Ella.
So if you had to coach yourself how to be a better husband, where would you start?
Learn how to be happy. Learn how to relax. Learn how to not worry. Learn how to be present with the kids. Learn how to put the business over here for a little bit, and just go be a dad and go do what they want to do. Most of my kids' life is centered around what is going on in my business.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
It is.
It's like, hey, I can only this weekend I can do this. I'm booked to speak next weekend, so it's like that's very hard when most of the conferences I speak at are on the weekends.
Yeah.
I got to fly somewhere. I got to be home with them. So I don't want to get to some point in the future and my kids go, man, I don't want to talk to my dad, because it was always work, always business.
Yeah. So we know Tommy is a good friend of yours, right? And stuff.
Yep.
Have you, outside of that, do you find friendships hard because?
Man, I only got like 2 friends.
But what is it about forming friendships that's difficult for you, if you had to identify a difficulty?
The reason I have this great friendship with Tommy is because he just accepts me. There's no judgment from him.
Yeah.
I don't feel any judgment from him. I can just be me. I can just be a regular dude.
Yeah.
With him. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's hard for me to build with people, because, I have a few close relationships, and then there's a lot of relationships, but I wouldn't consider them real tight and real close relationships. And there's just a few people. Tommy would tell you, man, I'm probably the worst person in the world to go on vacation with. He's like, man, you work most of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't relax. You're available for, like on vacation, it's like he's available from this time to this time to sit on the back porch. But he gets it, man. That dude gets it.
Yeah.
And there's this really interesting relationship that we push each other. And there's no judgment, but we push each other. And I push him and he pushes me. And, Brandon Burke is another one that I've known my whole life. We push each other too. We get each other. We have similar dreams. We have ambitions. But lots of people, no. And to be honest with you, the work schedule doesn't allow me to have a lot of personal relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm done coaching, I'm tired.
Not a lot to give somebody.
I mean, I've give almost everything I got, man. So I'm just like, man, I just want to go home. I just want to have a night to myself. Like it's Friday night, and me and Natalie were back at our house, and I was like, man, this is awesome. That's why I love weekends so much. There's nobody to coach, typically. There's nobody calling me. I can just be.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand a coach's life. Like, think about Saban's life. Mm-hmm. Every second thinking about winning, thinking about getting to the next, think about another championship, think about recruiting, think about the media. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like a never-ending cycle. Uh-huh. And I don't like we thought about changing my number recently, and just giving just a few people my personal number, because once that thing gets out, the messages people send me all hours of the day, constantly, and then if I don't respond to them, they get mad at me.
Yeah.
Like there really is no boundaries whatsoever for people.
So you've mentioned, your creative state as well as like this anxiety that you wake up. So out of the two voices that guide us, worry and wisdom, which one do you lean towards most?
I still think I worry too much. I still worry with a lot of anxiety, and I don't know where it comes from. I think I've got more money than I've ever had. I think I'm more stable than I've ever been. I think I got all these things going.
Yeah.
And it is really Dan Sullivan's The Gap and the Gain. Mm-hmm. It's living in this gap, but I'm still very frustrated that we just can't get there. What is there? It's a mental construct. Is it to be as big as Covey? Is it to be as big as Cardone? Is it to? I don't know what it is. It's just a frustrating thing for a guy like me to wake up and be constantly trying to get there.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the driving force is running towards or away?
Probably both.
Probably both.
I don't know what I'm running away from.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm most motivated by fear of loss.
Yeah.
That's why I practice mental subtraction. What psychologists call mental subtraction is I take things that I love and I pretend that I lose them. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I got the bill for the jet the other day because we've been flying around in the country everywhere. And, I put so much money down to fly on the jet for the fuel, prepay and fuel and all that. So I'm like, hadn't got a bill. It's July. I'm thinking, man, this is awesome. And then I get this huge bill. And gas is $8 a gallon. I'm using 600 gallons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm like, what? I'm like, this is ridiculous. It costs me this much money to fly there, but I love flying on the jet.
Yeah.
So it's like, do I give it up or do I just suck it up? And my standard philosophy,
give it up or suck it up.
My standard philosophy is suck it up and go make more money. Go make more money. You can live below your means, Dave Ramsey, or you can create more means, Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
You get to choose which path you take. My path has always been just create more. I could take the G-Wagon back and drive a nice Mercedes, and I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
Right? And save $3,000 or $4,000 a month. But the competitor in me is like, no, man, that'd be losing. That'd be giving in if I did that. And why would I do that? Why won't you just create more?
Yeah.
There's more out there.
Do you enjoy it?
I think.
And then do you enjoy that desire of saying okay, now that I have the thing and I have to create more.
See, this is Dave Blanchard. He's ready to tell me, man, you just got to work and work and work to get more and more and more and more. Yeah. And I get that. I have moments of enjoyment. Uh-huh. I've started flying on the plane by myself some.
Yeah.
It drives Eric crazy because he wants to go with me all the time. But I'm like, man, I just want to fly somewhere by myself. Now, when I'm on that plane by myself, and I can kick back in the chair and take a nap, and it's just me on my own jet, I'm like, now this is cool.
That's good.
The other night coming home from St. Louis, I'm driving home on Friday night, listening to some great music, and I'm driving that G-Wagon. It's just incredibly overpriced. I'm like, this is cool though, man. We just flew in on the jet. We took 5 or 6 people. Everybody loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it, I did my thing. The people appreciated it. I get back home, and I'm going home. And I have these moments of celebration, but they're fleeting. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't celebrate enough.
Gotcha. Do you always hold them private?
Typically.
Typically.
Unless I just take it all the way and bring everybody out, right?
Yeah. Well, I meant like meaning to share those moments.
No, and
and
sometimes, I mean, I do a terrible job of celebrating with people in general, with anybody, right? I mean, my wife, my kids, people on my team, I'm just not good at celebrating because to me, I'm on to the next win. It's like, all right, we did that. Let's go do something else. And I think if you talk to Tim Grover, he would probably say, those guys celebrate one night and that's it.
Yeah.
They win a championship, they celebrate, and I guarantee they're probably in the gym the next day.
Yeah.
That's who they are. And that separates them from a lot of people. And I'm probably like that. Now, if I celebrate, a good idea of celebration to me is bring everybody together, bring Randy Houser in, and just have a big party.
Oh, yeah.
I still think somebody roofied my drink that night. I think Mark Schaefer roofied my drink that night, or somebody did because I was passed out in the bedroom.
The most incredible
with
story.
my bodyguard
I was
standing over me. Maybe my bodyguard that did it. That's what everybody thinks.
The most incredible story from that night is his bodyguard, who's Hispanic, or he's
Jorge,
Jorge. I asked him like, hey, I was like, do you know where Coach is? And he said, Coach was up, Coach was down, Coach was up, Coach is down.
Yeah, I had way too much to drink. Well, it was one of those nights. It was like we're having Randy Houser at the lodge. So there was excitement.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't eat anything.
Yeah.
And I kept telling Jorge, give me another drink. And I didn't know that they were making these very strong drinks, and I didn't eat anything. And next thing you know, man, I was out. And I'm like, I wanted to hang out with Randy Houser. Like after the show, I wanted to go hang out with him. I paid for him to be here. I'm like, and I'm literally out there. My mom's standing over me. She's like, get him some food. My wife's like, he's okay. Jorge's like, Coach, you okay? Up, down. And I'm like, man, I woke up the next day, man, and I was out. But I definitely had too much to drink. And I didn't have too much to drink, like a lot to drink. I just didn't. I don't think I had any food.
Yeah.
And I was
Maybe
so
the
excited.
Excitement.
Yeah, I was so excited. That happened another time in St. Louis. We went to do an event, a Christmas party for a company, and I was on a very strict diet at that time. And I was right in the middle of, and really, man, just having a couple glasses of alcohol knocked me out. And I get to this party with all these people, and Jorge was with me, and man, I was just, and it was me and Tim Story were there, and Story was speaking, and we were just having this big party in the back. And then Story goes up and speaks, and he was calm. He wasn't drinking that much, and but man, it was a night that I don't know. I don't think it turned out too good.
Yeah.
So I don't think people liked it that much. That they're used to seeing me this hard driving thing, and I just had a few drinks. I was a little loose because I was on this very strict diet, and I didn't have any food.
Mm-hmm. Now you have some incredible relationships, friends, people in your system and cycle and around you. So is there anyone that intimidates you? And let me ask this too, also, because I've seen you share the stage with a lot of speakers, right? And I will say, I think hands down, your ability to deliver is second to none.
Yeah. Right?
Is there anybody you wouldn't want to share a stage with from a comparison standpoint, or is that activation and prey drive? And is there anyone in the world you think that would intimidate Coach Burt?
I think it activates my prey drive more than intimidates me. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of probably, imposter syndrome of, do I deserve to be here with these guys? But I've been on stages with some of the best people in the world, and typically I walk out there going, I think I held my own, man.
Yeah.
I think I connected to the audience as good as they did. I think I packaged the content. We get good feedback, like, hey, man, out of everybody, you gave us the great content.
Yeah.
That's the part that frustrates me, though. When people say, hey, man, you were as good as they are. Well, why did they charge $100,000?
Yeah.
And we charge 25 then. See, that's what pisses me off. It's like if I'm as good as them, why am I not making $100,000?
Yeah.
So then it's like, what's the missing structure here? Now I'm back into that cycle of anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, why did he just make $50,000 and I made $10,000 or $20,000? I don't understand here. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why I had to make a back end pitch to make money, and they paid him this much money because he's more famous than I am.
Yeah.
So
come on, there's no one right now. If they called and said, this is the lineup, Coach, do you want in? You're going to speak right before or after this person?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think there's anybody that would intimidate me today.
Yeah.
I was a little intimidated when I did 10X, but that was 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I got on stage, and then I felt like I hit it like I should. I was totally prepared. And then I walked off stage, and the feedback was so overwhelming, I'm like, I can do this. Mm-hmm. I can be on stages with these guys. They have their specialty, right? And I have my specialty. And my specialty is activating that prey drive, packaging concepts. And I think most of those guys would tell you at what I do, like Tim Story says this all the time, Grover, all those guys, you're the best at what you do. Packaging ideas. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's from them to me. And they're the best at what they do. Grover's the best at talking about winning. Story's the best at talking about comebacks and miracle mentality. Cardone's the best at making you think bigger. Bradley's the best at being Bradley and building a personal brand.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the best at what they do. Micheal is the best at getting people excited. They're the best at what they do. And I feel like I'm the best at what I do. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm missing the famous factor. And we're working on that.
Yeah.
We're spending a lot of money. We're investing a lot of money right now. More money than I've ever invested for impressions, views, to be seen, to be known, to overcome obscurity. Mm-hmm. We're working on it.
Well, I sure appreciate it. This has been a great opportunity to sit here and, like you said, I've had the opportunity to be on long walks, as we've kind of decompressed, and I've learned to know the coach a little bit behind the scene. But in two closing questions, what do you think, and I know that you've shared some things, but what is the most misunderstood perception of Coach Burt?
That's a good question. I think when people think, it's very offensive to me when people think that I'm all about the money, that's all I care about. Mm-hmm. Because a guy said it to me last week, that it ain't about the relationship, it's about the money. And I think if you really spend time with me, you see that I care about people. It's just I'm coaching so many people at one time. It's like a doctor that has 10,000 patients.
Yeah.
How much time can you spend with every person? I think the people, when they come here and they spend time, go, it's authentic, it's real, he cares about people, right? But there's a business side to this, right? And I think it really bothers me when people think it's all about the money. Mm-hmm. The money's important, but it ain't about the money. It's about how do we help people move from A to B in their life. That's probably, and I don't think a lot of people have that misconception, but probably some people do.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's been a great interview. You've said a lot of things. What is the one thing, right, that you just were like, man, I just wish people knew this about me? To close this interview out, I know we've talked about your, your coaching, your perspective on coaching, leadership, family, faith. We've talked all of these things, you know. And if there's just the one thing that you said, man, if you know anything about old Coach Burt, or Micheal Burt, right? What would that be?
Probably that I spend almost all of my time thinking about how to help other people move their ball down the field, whether it be with encouragement, whether it be with a belief, whether it be with a structure. And I really, really do believe at my core, I believe everybody needs a coach in their life. I believe a good trained coach can drastically help transform another person's life, right? I mean, that is what I deep, because it happened to me on that baseball field when I was 6 years old. It happened to me through the great high school coaches I had. It happened to me from that dentist that coached me when I was 15 years old, on speaking and coaching. Like it happened to me by traveling the world. So I think people need to know that at the end of the day, they have a deep potential inside of them. But with a coach pulling that out of them, they can become they can become more than they ever thought they could become.
Yeah.
And so when I say everybody needs a coach in life, you need to be in a coaching program. It's not to sell you a coaching program. It's because it is transformative, right? Mm-hmm. Coaches changed my life, and I think it can change other people's life. And I think that's something people need to know. It's not an expense. Like I'm being coached right now. It's like 6 months into me being coach, I'm really just now digging into it, reading more and listening to what this guy's teaching me. He's been trying to teach me for 6 months. I'm just now getting in a position to receive it, internalize it, synthesize it, act on it. And because of it, I'll be better. And I think that's what a coach can do for people's lives.
Awesome. Well, again, hey, I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
Probably my most revealing interview ever, so thank you.
Yeah, so a lot of times you get the instruction from Coach Burt. This is a chance to get the insight on Coach Burt. So
Before I get started, there is one very important question I have to ask you.
Coach Micheal Burt, Monster Producer Academy CEO. He's a personal friend of mine.
What good is it to have knowledge with no desire? What good is it to have desire with no skill? What good is it to have knowledge and skill with no confidence?
A big part of activating your prey drive is finding and refining your talent. This is something that helps you get to the next place.
People are made up of 4 parts: a body, a mind, a heart, and a spirit.
You need to know you, and then you need to have an awareness, and sometimes you don't even know what you need.
So all 4 parts of our nature have to be clicking. Your hard skill solves my problem. The bigger the problem, the more money people will pay to solve it.
Everything is valuable to your future. What I'm really paying you for is your past.
A monster producer combines multiple skills to dominate a market.
When you get to wake up every day and do what you love doing, man, it is hard not to be motivated.
They think at a higher ordinance than everybody else. They want to create new things.
I have a conviction about me, and that's the conviction that you feel when I talk, when I speak. It comes across as passion.
You got to learn how to connect to another person at such a deep level that it moves them. You have goals, you have targets, but you don't have a sense of urgency.
They're going to exchange money, energy, they're going to raise capital, they're going to start new businesses, there's going to be joint ventures.
I think your purpose finds you. It is activated. The word activate means to initiate.
Discipline, which is a derivative of the word disciple, which means to give yourself to a person or cause you believe in. Do you believe in your future, yes or no?
When we know better, we do better. Finding the problem that you are uniquely qualified to solve, and you don't know what problem you really solve for whom, then there is no big financial exchange right there. You should leave here thinking bigger today than when you came.
And I want to shake your hand and look you in the eyeball when you make this decision. Thank you. We'll see you in the back. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.